Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. It's now 10 a.m. We're here for the regular session in the Hunt County Commissioners Court. This time I'll call this meeting to order. Ask Commissioner Monroe to lead us in prayer and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our flags. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, thank you for your goodness to us and your kindness. Lord, I ask that you just continue to bless this great country. Lord, give our leaders wisdom, Lord, to navigate through the situations we're in, Lord. And Lord, I ask that you just help this court to continue to lead with guidance and with integrity. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, everyone. We have Commissioner Money, Monroe, Smith, and Harrison present. I'm Judge Stovall. I'll be presiding over the meeting today. Commissioners, you got the minutes from March 24th regular session. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Commissioners, you got the minutes from March 25th, 2026 special session. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Commissioners, you got minutes from March 26, 2026 special session. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll have public testimony. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should conduct themselves in a civil manner. The Commissioners Court cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Concerns will be addressed by county staff that may be placed on a future agenda or addressed by some other course of response. Harris Hollingsworth.
Good morning. My name's Harris Hollingsworth. I live at 1315 FM 1564 East Quinlan, Texas. That's an unincorporated area of Wheeling, Texas, where they're building the data center now, and that's what I'd like to talk on for a minute. I was at the public meeting when they had, and I listened to everybody's comments up here in front of me. Mr. Smith had noted that, what we impart on this place, we'd have to impart on other places going forward. When you first hear that, maybe you don't want to do it, maybe you do. I think with what I have to say today, it's possible that it's something we need to do. Mr. Harrison mentioned Van Zandt County, and Mr. Money mentioned fire code. I noticed it's on the agenda for the fire code. I'd like to give him a round on that one. I did go out of my way, just about 2 minutes worth, and call the commissioner in Van Zandt County that was opposed to the data center, and what they used was an amended fire code that they did not have by default, 855, I think it's the NFPA, 855. And in reviewing that, it talks about the companies have to provide information on explosive material, flammable, incendiary, etc. And then when they reviewed that, they used the Lone Star Infrastructure Act and determined that some of the components in what they were using in Van Zandt County on both a battery plant and a data center had some products in it that were from of those countries that we're not supposed to do business with. And I would like y'all to possibly reach out to Mr. Williams. Gary Williams is who I talked to. He's a very smart man.
Is he the attorney that's over there?
He is an attorney commissioner, correct. And that's really all I have today. I greatly appreciate the time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marcia Kirkendall.
Good morning. My name is Marcia Kirkendall. I live at 3209 Bonham Street here in Greenville. I've been a resident of Greenville for a little over 13 years. I love the city. I love this county. I am here to talk about the data center, and I'm mainly here to talk about the community. Our community is such that the farmers, the farmland, the cattle, everything that we hold dear in Hunt County is what's going to be affected by this data center. I think that we have to look at the long term. I'm 76 years old. I probably, in 10 years, maybe I won't be here. But my children, everybody else's children, grandchildren will be here. And what you do in this county court will directly affect their livelihoods, their way of living. I do not want, like this gentleman spoke of, batteries that blow up and all that. I don't want any of that stuff. I just want our community to be a safe community, a place where we can raise our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and not be afraid that big government's going to come in and totally run ripshod over our little community that I love dearly. I've only been a resident here for 13 years, and I hope that you will take into consideration what the farmers do for us and what the cattle will do for us. I mean, I understand that our mayor is for this thing, but would he like it if it was backed up to his property? I think we need to look at that. I'm just appalled that that this is happening in our community. I love our community, and I hope that you all will take heed to hear the voices of the people here in Greenville, because we speak, and we need for you to listen to what we have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. For the public that doesn't know, we have very little ammunition in our gun to stop the thing, but we're doing what we can, and it's the data centers, they're so new to all of us, and I know we're all afraid of all of the things you just spoke about, as well as the usage of electricity and water. But it's sitting here and being the budget officer, I'm more concerned about them building a 1 million square foot building with a data center in it. In 5 years, the technology changes, and we got a building sitting out there empty and that nobody's going to pay taxes on. And if we get the tax money coming in from them to start with, if we don't use that correctly, we can't lower the tax rates very fast, because if we go down too much, state doesn't allow us to go back up. So it gets us in a quagmire. What do we do? And it's almost like, we'll have to spend that on special funds, just put it in roads and get all our roads fixed or something. I won't have a voice in that. I won't be on the court when all that happens, but that would be my advice to the court and future courts. That you got to protect the long term. I think that's a bigger issue to me than some of these others. Caroline Davis.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm going to have to abbreviate my speech. I didn't have much time. I've been very ill for the last few days, but I thought it was very necessary to come here. And most importantly, I appreciate this time, but you might not like what I have to hear, but you were elected in a tough job, and that's what you get paid the big bucks for. You also get paid to be stewards of this county for not only its land, but its people, and to have responsible oversight of businesses that come in here. And it's disingenuous to say you have no authority. You might want to have your member that you appointed to the North Central Texas Council of Governments, your JP, to find out what Hood County is doing. They're a fellow member, and they have 6 to 8 proposed data centers. There are also many other ones in the state. And with that 2 weeks of what you had advance notice, that's kind of hard for me to believe that with all the connections you have to local realtors, to other allied organizations such as water districts and electric co-ops, that you would not have heard about this project that, as Shannon, one of the representatives for Core Scientific, said he's owned the property for several years. But you have an obligation to find out the facts. What I found out in a few hours after the Herald Banner's week, 2-day notice of this project coming to town, you had 2 weeks to find out these things, and I only had a few hours, and I knew more about it than what y'all claimed to know on March 24th. But there should be full transparency from this day forward. And I'm not sure, I hadn't had a chance to look on the agenda if you have anything about Core Scientific, but you need to be asking them questions and you need to be getting answers. It's not sufficient just to say you can't do anything. There's the opportunity to put input with the various government agencies such as the TCEQ and also connect with ERCOT. And I would suggest even maybe contacting the EPA and see what they require on environmental assessments and use that as a framework in which to ask questions of what is this project going to do not only to the people as far as degradation of air quality, and also to the animals and the plant life. Because if I hear right, you allowed 100-acre property to be clear cut. And I just toured this area on Saturday. And it's a shame because it's beautiful Texas countryside. But you need to start coordinating with the other agencies. And I would suggest that you put on your website, right on the first page of the Commissioner Court, that you put a data center link that you can put what you have been asking these people questions and what you've been doing weekly. Put the appointments that you're going to have with TCEQ. Put the appointments you're going to have with maybe other representatives like the PUC, ERCOT, or the municipal water districts, or any other organization, and let the people know so they can contact those people too and tell them their concerns before you show up to talk to them. And I guess my 3 minutes is up, so I'll just have to take this up in the future. But lastly, the tax revenue is going to be in the millions of dollars, and yet there's not been one word said on what it's going to be used for. I would suggest that you start a fund, that you can have a trust fund for future acquisition of people who want to sell their property that border this facility, because I certainly wouldn't want to live next to it. I would sell in a heartbeat. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Ms. Davis, I would like to let you know, as far as Core Scientific, there have been people that have sent questions in. I actually have forwarded those. The commissioners have sent things to me since that's in my precinct and I had the initial comment with them. What we asked them to do is they have a town hall. I believe it's May 5th is the date. It's going to be at the Lone Oak, somewhere at the Lone Oak School District. And providing those questions to them and asking them to address those all at that town hall.
That's at 6 o'clock, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I believe that's correct.
Is that all of them? Anybody else?
Yes, Your Honor, I have a couple of...
Hang on, John. Come up, John.
John Kelso, 6005 Horn Drive, Greenville. Excuse me. I just want to say I appreciate you spending my tax dollars on the entrance to the parking lot, making it a little bit wider. I think that's a wise use of my money, and I appreciate that, and I'm sure everybody that uses that parking lot appreciates that as well. So thank you. I'm assuming that you guys did that, so if you did, thanks.
Thank you, John.
Yes, good morning. We have a number of persons who have submitted online for their comments to be read. The first one from Brian Swearingen, a Hunt County resident. He writes, hello, I am composing this letter in my capacity as a resident and concerned member of the Hunt County community in response to reports of a proposed large-scale artificial intelligence data center campus in Hunt County. Construction projects of this magnitude, which are reportedly capable of generating hundreds of megawatts of electricity, can exert a substantial burden on the natural resource, local infrastructure, and adjacent communities. One of the most alarming aspects of facilities such as these is their environmental impact. Substantial quantities of water are frequently consumed for cooling purposes, and data centers frequently necessitate huge amounts of electricity. It is crucial to guarantee that any project of this magnitude in a region that is expanding does not have a detrimental effect on local water supplies, rural landowners, wildlife habitats, or long-term environmental sustainability. Local and state officials are respectfully requested to provide transparency and responses to several critical inquiries prior to any approvals or development. What is the definitive proposed location of this facility in Hunt County? Which type of environmental or infrastructure impact assessments have been conducted? How will the nearby property owners and rural landowners be affected in the long term? Will inhabitants have the chance to comment on public hearings prior to the finalization of any decisions? The character and resources of our community could be irrevocably impacted by this significant development. Prior to any approvals being granted, residents are entitled to transparency, substantive public input, and a thorough environmental review. I respectfully implore you to complete a comprehensive assessment of the environmental and infrastructure implications of this project and to ensure that Hunt County residents are fully informed before proceeding. We appreciate the effort you have taken to represent the people of Hunt County. Thank you, Bryson Swearingen, Greenville, Hunt County resident. The next is from Weldon and Kathy Brooks. Kathy.brooks5309@gmail.com. She says, or they say, in 2014, my husband and I left Dallas for the peaceful and comfortable life on a couple of acres here in Cache. We have enjoyed our time in this community and the Greenville area. Recently, the building of a data center has been proposed. I am asking to please not build in the area we call home. My reasons are below. Data centers require massive amounts of water for operation, putting a strain on local water supplies. Chemical runoff damages the soil and can contaminate local waterways, having an effect not only on people who live here, but also ecosystems and local wildlife. Disturbing noise also will affect people, ecosystems, and local wildlife. Power surges can cause erratic spikes for miles, sometimes damaging appliances and increasing the chance of fire. Higher electric bills in communities that are already struggling due to economic impact. Data centers built in the community impacts the value of our existing homes. My husband has COPD. Particles emitted from a data center can worsen his condition and the condition of others struggling in the same way. Health protection in a community is critical. The negative impact of building a data center in this community far outweighs any positive benefits. There are many homeowners in this area. Cache is a rural area and we wish it to stay that way. I'm asking you, please, don't do this to the community and all the homeowners living here. Best regards, Weldon and Kathy Brooks. The next from Amy Tischendorf. belovedartglass@gmail.com. 506 Turtle Creek Drive, Greenville, Texas. Good morning, Hunt County Commissioners Court and Judge Stovall. I would like to voice my concerns about the impact of AI/data centers in our county. Is this the direction we really want to go? If it is, what can we do to slow this down in order to make informed decisions as a community? Do your constituents really want this? Please do not ignore our concerns. Many of us live here because it is a rural community. We are already being encroached upon by populations west of us. Please do what you can to stop or slow down the building of AI/data centers. Please be our community heroes. Sincerely, Amy Tischendorf. The next, also from Amy Tischendorf, but this time from latish@gmail.com. Good morning, Hunt County Commissioners Court and Judge Stovall. My concern is not specific to data centers, but pertains to all important issues that are to be considered for our community. Based on a couple of recent topics, data centers and solar farms, it has become apparent to me that the community has not been included in these discussions appropriately. For instance, a neighbor happened to walk upon a sign at the back of her neighborhood that was newly placed on a solar farm project, and within a couple of weeks the city council approved the project. There was no effort, that I'm aware of council members communicating with their constituents far enough in advance of this vote to make them aware and get their input. The same with these data centers. My commissioner sent out an email about his concern on this issue, and it appears he was not aware of some efforts that were going on in the background. It appears to me that at levels of the government above the county and city level, that projects such as these may be in work without our local representatives' knowledge until they are ready for approval. In this day and age, when many forms of communication are plentiful, there is no excuse for the poor communication that has occurred recently. I am very concerned with what appears to be a purposeful lack of transparency at several layers of our government. There has to be time for important issues to be communicated and discussed, and constituents given ample time and opportunity to provide feedback. Sincerely, Larry Tischendorf, 506 Turtle Creek Drive, Greenville, Texas. The next from Dennis Qualls, qman1@ymail.com. I have sent my concerns a while back for this proposed data center on C.R.3508. I have researched the possible negative impacts of such a data center on the surrounding communities. The pollution factors, open parentheses, air, water, and noise, close parentheses, can be felt for as much as 5 miles around the site. This would be over 78 square miles of land area. I have looked at the nearby surrounding properties, and my estimate is that there would be thousands of residents affected by this proposal. I understand that the Hunt County Commissioners may be limited on their oversight of this development, but I also believe that there may be roadblocks that the Commissioners can impose to at least slow the development down or stop it entirely. Permits and possible platting, for example. I would also ask that the Commissioners pursue avenues with the state level government to grant more authority to the county level to more closely govern what's in our backyard. This situation of lack of county authority is probable throughout the state, and I would think that the more county commissioners approaching state officials, the better. Your attention to this would be appreciated. Dennis Qualls. The next from Julia English, jrenglish02@gmail.com. Good morning. I am writing to address the data centers issue since I will be unable to attend the meeting tomorrow. I, and many others, do not want these data centers in our county. We already have business after business we don't approve of, and frankly, the data centers are not needed. It feels as if the city is dead set on destroying everything in Hunt County, getting rid of every bit of farmland this place has, all for money. I understand that cities should grow and cannot always stay the same, but the negative effects of the data centers are real. The electricity usage, when we can barely keep up in the winters now, the negative health impacts that these data centers are being linked to, like miscarriages and cancer. In both humans and animals, not to mention, no one is asking for them. The general public does not want data centers in their town. What begins as a quote-unquote economic promise will soon turn into a public health crisis that gets overlooked, not to mention the jobs that will more likely be handed to others outside this town. So please reconsider the decision to move forward with the data center. Thank you, Julia English. Next, we have a accumulation of messages from a large number of people. I'll read out their names. Wanda Radabau, 5923 CR 2516, Royce City. All the others are also at the same address, so I will just read out their names. Cindy Radabau, Angela Gagnon, Julie Gagnon, Kelly Wofford, Eric Wofford. Pardon, those two have a different address. Kelly Wofford and Eric Wofford at 3732 CR 2516, Royce City. Alexis Wofford, Brett Wofford, also at the same address. Sean Stanley and Austin Stanley and Anthony Stanley at 5939 CR 2516, Royce City. And Rebecca Smith and two children, Ryder Gage, 5939 CR 2516, Royce City. They write, on a broader scale, data centers contribute to increasing global energy demand, which can slow progress towards sustainability if powered by fossil fuels. They may also crowd out investments in more community-oriented industries like small businesses or agriculture. Altogether, these factors highlight that data centers can impose long-term environmental, economic, and social costs that are often overlooked. Building data centers in small towns can create a range of negative impacts that outweigh their perceived benefits. These facilities consume enormous amounts of electricity and water, which can strain local resources and drive up utility costs for residents. In areas with limited infrastructure, this added demand may lead to power instability or water shortages, especially during peak usage or drought conditions. Additionally, data centers often provide relatively few long-term jobs compared to the land and resources they occupy, offering minimal economic return to the community. Their presence can also increase noise, disrupt local ecosystems, and alter the character of rural environments. Rather than supporting sustainable community-centered growth, data centers can leave small towns bearing environmental and financial burdens, making a strong case against placing them all in these areas to all. There are social and economic downsides as well. Property values near large industrial-style facilities can decline due to noise, visual impact, and perceived environmental risks. Tax incentives often given to attract data centers can reduce public revenue, meaning local residents may not see meaningful financial benefits despite hosting the infrastructure. Additionally, these constant low-frequency noise from cooling systems can affect quality of life, causing stress or sleep disturbances for nearby residents. Beyond resource strain and limited job creation, data centers can create several other negative side effects. One major issue is environmental pollution. Backup diesel generators used during outages release harmful emissions that degrade air quality and contribute to climate change. Construction of large facilities can lead to habitat destruction, soil disruption, and increased stormwater runoff, which may harm local wildlife and waterways. Data centers also produce significant electronic waste over time as servers and equipment becomes obsolete, raising concerns about proper disposal and toxic materials. Those were all the comments that I was given.
Thank you, Arnold.
Thank you.
Jess, is there anybody else online? Okay. All right, anybody else? Being none, I'll close the public testimony. Commissioners, no old business under new business consent calendar. Entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item B, approval of accounts payable.
Motion to approve payables.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of line item transfers.
Make a motion to approve line item transfers.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of budget amendments.
Motion to approve budget amendment.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of payroll and personnel.
Motion to approve payroll and personnel.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 1, quarterly report for the Audie Murphy Cotton Museum. Susan?
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for letting me come present
Pull
our
the
report.
mic down a little bit.
Yes, I'm short.
Me too.
Thank you for letting me come and present to you guys. Over the past quarter, we have had visitors from 32 different states and Puerto Rico. Internationally, they've come from England, Australia, France, the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, Canada, and South Korea. There was a total of 1,190 paid visitors to the museum, and a total of 1,071 people actually signed our guest book. Our visitors spent 39 nights in local hotels, which included Comfort Suites, Hampton Inn, Holiday Inn, and Best Western. Our group tours came from the Peach Homeschool Group out of Plano and the 4th grade at Providence Academy. Our lunch break special speakers, in February, we showed snippets of the oral histories we conducted as part of our new temporary exhibit. And in March, Bob Laprelle spoke about historic railway preservation and the Museum of the American Railroad. We also had a World War II roundtable program where Stephen Sloan gave a program that focused on oral histories with World War II veterans that he conducted. And we had a program by Dr. Sarah Collini on the history of the Declaration of Independence, which was fascinating. We hosted Business After Hours in January and had a wonderful crowd attend. We really enjoyed doing that. We also had a great turnout during our February's gun show with 477 people attending. In March, we had our popular adults-only Easter After Dark event. For our movie nights, we showed The Case of the Velvet Claws starring Warren William and Dial Red O starring Bill Elliott. During this quarter, we also installed a new temporary exhibit on Black history, people who have done things in and for the community that most don't know about. Some of them included, it includes parts of the oral histories we conducted with people from Greenville, and some of them were William and Cheryl Smith, Deborah Dean, Henry Dawson, Cheston Henry, Wesley Pierce, Sherry Tarver, and Tammy Schaefer. We also have coming up this weekend is we're doing a genealogy workshop. So anybody interested in genealogy, stop by. It's going to be from 10 to 12. And next weekend is our live action clue game. This is our second one we're doing, and it's a lot of fun. So if you've never taken part in something like that, you might want to consider it. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Commissioners? Thank you, Susan. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 2, the quarterly report for Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Texas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope y'all are having a great day today. I know I am. I know the weather kind of makes it a little bit difficult, but I try to make the best out of it. Well, good morning once again, and just thank you for allowing us to just be here and to be able to share all the amazing stories that are happening within our Hunt County Boys and Girls Club. So today I wanted to take you a little walk down memory lane, what's been happening within our clubs. Back in February, we had we hosted our Youth of the Year event gala. This year was especially more meaningful because we were actually able to introduce our first Junior Youth of the Year program, which ages from 10 to 13. We had candidates that represented within our Lone Oak, our Commerce, and our Greenville clubs, showcasing leadership and growth and their heart for their community. These young leaders participated in a club academy where they learned what it truly means to lead and to serve their community as well as in their home. They had the opportunity to hear from incredible community leaders. Mr. Cheston Henry, he is the Chief of Staff of House District 2. He spoke about advocating for your community. Miss Bonnie Jean Stewart, a Greenville ISD board member, who shared about just service. Dr. Danielle from the Leadership Institute, who focused on goal setting and leadership. And Miss Christy Melton, who I believe she serves our public library. She encouraged them to follow their dreams. We also wanted them to experience something special and memorable. So we took them shopping, and then we had a local barber, Mr. Ricky, give them a haircut. And because we believe building confidence is just not in the outward, but as well the inward, so we wanted to make it memorable for them. But as we continue to empower the youth of our community, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Mr. Ethan, our Junior Youth of the Year winner from our Lone Oak Club. He says, "Patience is one of the most important lessons the Boys and Girls Club has taught me, even in small situations. Like when I want to go play, but we have to clean up first, or learn about a topic before we have fun. I've learned that good things take time. A leader needs patience so they don't get mad and give up when things don't go their way." Thank you for your continued support, for giving us this opportunity to build brighter futures for our kids in our Hunt County community. And just some things that are happening within the next couple of months. Summer's around the corner. And we had a great partnership with Parkland. And so as of right now, if the family is under Medicaid, we're able to give them it's basically $100 that they're paying for this summer. And so that has been a blessing because that means we've been able to serve more families within our community with that. And so, but once again, thank y'all so much for this opportunity. And if y'all have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Commissioners, any questions?
My wife and I was able to go to the Youth of the Year banquet, and talking to the kids, you can definitely tell you guys have a major impact on their lives and everything. So good job what y'all are doing to keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. We do in the summer have this thing called Popsicle Patrol, and it's where people in the community get the opportunity to come and actually do a walkthrough of our clubs, and we would love for y'all to be a part of that. So if y'all do have any questions, I'm more than happy to send out some information on that. I think it's amazing for our community to step in and to truly see what these kids are experiencing. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Commissioners, entertain a report. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. You bailed me out. Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 3, the March 2026 month-end report for Constable Precinct 1. Richie?
Good morning. So as you can see, for last month, we actually had our first tax sale. We had 12 properties that we had listed. 3 of them were paid prior to the sale. 4 of them were not sold at the sale, and we sold 5 properties, which equated to about $282,000 that we were able to bring back onto the tax roll. As far as the activity summary is concerned, last month we had 91 papers come from the JP courts, 26 from the county court, 49 from district, and 27 from out of county, which added up to 193 papers last month. We made 577 attempts to get these papers served. Out of those 193, 127 were served, 16 of them were returned back, and the rest of them are still pending. We also had 10 agency assist where, again, if people don't realize what that is, it's either backing up the SO or any other law enforcement agency in the county. We had 31 court cases last month, which equated to 24.5 hours of bailiffing. And year to date, we've had 556 papers that come through my office with right at 1,200 attempts to get them served. So just kind of wanted to, like I said, just give you an update on how the office is going, if you have any questions or concerns.
Anybody?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Entertain a motion for approval.
So
Moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 4, discuss and possibly act on a resolution/petition for data center considerations to submit to the State of Texas Governor, other appropriate elected officials, and associated state department heads. Gary?
Thank you, Judge. Gosh, I actually find myself nervous this morning for the first time since I've been sitting in this seat. Thank you all for your comments on the data centers, not just today, but the weeks prior. And for the most part, thank you for your professionalism in it. I mean, there's emotion in this. A lot of people get excited about it with justifiable reason. When you don't have answers, and you don't have consideration, it's easy to get excited about things that are going on. But there are lots of things that have been submitted to us. Believe it or not, we take that information, we try to do our own homework. We do contact other counties. We have been speaking with some of those folks because they were ahead of us in the process. They have lessons learned, what worked, what looked like it worked but then didn't. There's been false starts on moratoriums where they were shut down by constitutional law with Senator out of Houston. There's been inquiries to the Attorney General about, asking for rulings, what they can do, and getting negative response back. There has been some things where one county has had some technicalities of the way they approached it. And what they're doing is they're able to delay, but it won't hold up long term. So there's lots of things that are out there. This is not just a Hunt County. It's not just a Texas. It's a United States conversation. Anybody who's out there on social media, I mean, you see protests, you see new websites starting up every day about data centers. And so it's become a very big topic. And so there's still a long road ahead of us to try and figure out ways to go deal with this. But the people's concerns are legitimate, especially in lieu of no answers or responses that qualified, believable authorities and organizations have been able to provide. So you end up being a community without control, a community without say, and that's very frustrating. And so one of the things that has happened because of all the noise that the Texans have been making is you are starting to see Austin starting to have hearings, have meetings, setting up committees. Those are all meeting, discussing various topics with the intent of moving some of this into conversation in the 2027 legislation. That won't do. The reality is that's too long. Everything that's already in process will be well along the way, and then it won't work for us. So as a result, I'm putting forward today in front of the court a resolution and a letter, actually, that to go forward to our state officials to stop, slow down, and get it right for Texas. And so let's do this right. And so what I'd like to do, and I know we always try not to belabor with a lot of long-winded things, but I would like to read the letter to everybody so that you understand, because at the end of the letter, you'll understand not just why it's important that we're sending the letter, but why it's important for you to know why we're sending the letter. So I'll begin. 2, Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Senator Angela Paxton, Representative Brent Money, Public Utility Commission of Texas, Electric Reliability Council of Texas, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, Texas Water Development Board, Texas Department of Transportation, Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts, Texas Economic Development and Tourism, Texas Division of Emergency Management, Texas State Fire Marshal's Office, leadership of the Texas House Committee on State Affairs, and leadership of the Texas Senate Committee on Business and Commerce. Normally not important to read all of those, but it's important if you know we're trying to hit everybody that has a dog in this fight. We want to make sure that we've mentioned to everybody who can possibly influence this in any way. So the letter begins. Once again, the United States is faced with a global challenge. Artificial intelligence is the next technology race that will empower a new generation of influence, security, and advancement. Texas has stepped up to lead this race with a goal to be the forefront of data center and technology infrastructure. While it's the Texas culture to lead, it's also our culture to lead in the interest of Texans. Our current regulatory environment in the unincorporated areas of our counties has no authority or regulations to ensure this new growth is done in a responsible way, the Texas way. Therefore, Hunt County requests the state of Texas and all its agencies to pause all in-process development for new data centers while the state-appointed committees define the regulations for this rapid expansion. The communities being impacted today cannot afford to wait until the next legislative session. The unchecked development will be well underway without any accountability to a standard for the industry. Hunt County cannot rely solely on the integrity of development companies for our citizens. Considerations for the following areas are desperately needed, but not limited to. Resource utilization in the key areas of water, power consumption, plans and limits. Type of systems and processes required by Texas, open versus closed loop. Power management and prioritization regulations. Location and size. Protect our farm and ranch land. Road planning and cost. Environmental mitigations. Noise limitations. Discharge and contaminant management and requirements. Require permitting for industrial businesses in incorporated areas. Drainage engineering for non-subdivision and non-platted developments. Fire code regulations and developer funding for volunteer fire departments for equipment and training. Regulated and routine reporting for adherence to state, county requirements with significant fines. Provide methodology for valuations. Provide methodology for addressing property tax rates when an existing data center closes. These are examples of some of the many concerns of the citizens of Hunt County. Your assistance to provide authority to the counties to manage concerns in this industry or provide statewide regulation is needed. As a result, this request is submitted with a desire for your immediate action to pause current data center developments while establishing a Texas Industrial Development Plan. Should the rules and regulations not be available immediately, you're requested to provide interim guidelines and authorities for counties to start managing this growing industry in the interest of our communities. Respectfully submitted. It will have the names of all the commissioners' court, but the reason it's important for you to hear this, not just understand that we're trying to vote on something, is there's an attachment that will go with this. It's not a letter from the court, it's a letter from the county. It's kind of in the form of a petition, but you're signing a letter with us. And so, Tyler, if you would put this up. So we're going to be putting this out in locations, and we're going to ask you to sign this for us. If this is the way you feel and this is the way you believe, we'd like you to sign up and be part of this with us. It's not just the court, it's the county. So if the court approves this today, we will put at all the precinct barns, the courthouse, the tax assessor's office, and the county clerk's office during daily business hours. That's places you can go during the day. In the evenings, knowing that that's always a concern, each maintenance barn will open 2 days over the next 2-week period in the evenings, 5 to 7. So precinct 4 will be April 20th and 21st. Precinct 3 will be the 22nd and the 23rd. Precinct 1 will be the 29th and the 30th. Precinct 2 will be the 27th and the 28th. That will give a total of 8 evenings, and you can sign at any one of these locations. It does not have to be your precinct. You can only sign once is the catch. Okay? So please understand there's evening opportunities there. And then as we get to the end, we will make one last push with the Hunt County Fair. Both Friday nights are high traffic nights, lots of people attending. We will set up there and make that available in the evening, 5 to 8 p.m. We will stop before the concert starts because that's when too much fun starts. Just a moment, and then Saturday we'll be there just before the auction starts. While people are just before they have dinner and all before the auction starts. The most important thing here is the last item. We're requesting for door-to-door volunteers. There will be people come to these locations. We will get signatures, but this is a grassroots. That's why it's got your name on it, not just to sign, but to help go to your neighbors, to help talk to the business owners, to help talk to the people and see if they are in agreement with this. The state has already offered billions of dollars in tax incentives. They've signed up with the United States administration to lead the way, and we want to lead for lots of reasons, from technology to national security in this. So we have to do it right. It can't be at the expense of our people and our properties. And so, looking for people to volunteer, you can contact any one of the commissioners here to tell them you'd like to volunteer. We will get you a copy of this letter. We'll get it put on letterhead. We'll get you a copy of the letter. We'll get you copies of these. If 50 people show up to get donors, or to get donors, to get volunteer to get signatures.
We'll take donations too, won't
we? There's 20 names to a sheet. What's 50 times 20, guys? That's 1,000 signatures. Sending anything to the state, calling it, and this is the voice of the Hunt County, anything less than 1,000 is not worth sending. We need everybody's help to do this. So with that being said, there's a resolution that goes along with this, Mr. Arnold, that
Gary, are we able to put this on the website and push it out where people know where and when they can go by as well?
I see no reason we can't, Judge.
Can they email? Can we put it on where they could email a consent and put their name on there?
So there was a little bit of a reluctance about doing the online, stuff. A lot of those things with the state don't always get all the credibility, from an online deal. So that's why we were looking for actual. Now, what we can do though is, if you will contact your commissioner, we can, when we have donors' names, we can give the donors the names of the people in those areas. Because what I like to do is keep book on everyone who is a donor, or
you're really helping us here, Gary.
Well, I think I'm giving my heart up for this. It's a heart transplant moment. But the volunteers, we need to know who they are so that we can feed them. Ma'am?
Can we do more than one?
Absolutely. I will give you as many as you want. I will give you one, and you can make 13,000 copies if you like. But like I say, 1,000 is a number that I think if we don't get that, it's not really worth the conversation as far as, because look, we can send resolutions and we can send letters all day long. They can make sense. I do think the timing is right because of the pressure that's starting to build. But a letter by itself, just from the Commissioner's Court, while it's nice, they're going to read it, they're going to say, yeah, I get it, and they're going to log it. A letter that comes from Hunt County that's got over 1,000 names on it is going to be read twice at least.
And a quick comment before you read it. There was a meeting in Austin last week, I believe it was, where the governor and lieutenant governor and several of the dignitaries, and they're concerned about it. ERCOT was there, several other state agencies. It went on for 5 hours. It's out online. You can go watch it. And my wife, bless her heart, she listened to the whole thing. But I haven't had time to listen to the whole thing yet, but what the parts of it I heard was very encouraging, because I've been involved in the chamber for 40 years probably, and we have gone down every year during the legislature for Hunt County Days where county gets recognized, but we always take a platform of here's what we want for our community. Help us have these things in our community. And I have never seen us get much reaction from it. Most of them just take it and say, and they throw it in the trash, and we don't get anything. But we go with about 40 people. So what Gary's saying, getting the signatures and getting some representation, that maybe we can make a change. And I did hear during that meeting that I think it's because the state, they're taking all the heat right now for this. And I think they want to push it, so they're finally going to push it down to us so we can take the heat and maybe actually give us some authority to do some things. Because it's the first time that they started talking about that maybe we should have zoning, maybe we should have. I think one of them said we ought to have the same authority for platting as the cities do. And we don't. We have very little authority. The cities have a whole lot of authority. So maybe there's going to be some discussion this time. So this is really important. I appreciate Commissioner Smith for putting his time in to get this done. And if we can get the citizens to sign up, I think we might make a difference. Arnold?
Yes, sir. I've got a number of copies of this draft resolution. Let me just pass these around here.
I've got one. Yeah. Just a minute, Carol. We'll get you in a second.
So this draft resolution, it is legal. We looked into it. It is legal for the county to do this. It is appropriate to collect signatures, and this resolution just basically does the legal step necessary for the county to be able to do so.
Okay. Commissioner Smith, you got any comments? Did you want to read it, or do we need to read it, or?
Would you like to? You like to read resolutions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy to.
So the big thing here, guys, what Arnold said was, we made mention before I started reading the letter about all the things that have been done that have been declared illegal, unconstitutional, and counties are put back, where that they're on their heels. And so the point of this was to write this in a way, do the research to make sure that we're legal, so that this is not something that gets dismissed and thrown away. So with that, Arnold, I love to actually hear you read, so
You said you got a great voice.
If there's no objections, I'll be happy to do so.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, resolution. A resolution of the Hunt County Commissioners Court approving and authorizing the transmittal of a letter and attached citizen petition to state officials regarding data center development in unincorporated areas of the county. Whereas Article 5, Section 18B of the Texas Constitution provides that the Commissioners Court of each county shall exercise such powers and jurisdiction over all county business as is conferred by the Constitution and laws of the state of Texas. And whereas the Texas Local Government Code, including Chapter 81, grants the Commissioners Court authority to conduct county business, which courts have interpreted to include addressing matters affecting the county's infrastructure, resources, public health and safety, and the welfare of its citizens in unincorporated areas. And whereas Texas is experiencing rapid growth in data center development driven by advancements in artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and related technologies, with Texas positioning itself as a national leader in the sector. And whereas Hunt County has seen interest in large-scale data center projects in its unincorporated areas, including recent announcements of significant developments that could impact local resources and infrastructure. And whereas the Commissioners Court recognizes the economic benefits that responsible technology infrastructure can bring to the county and the state, while also acknowledging legitimate concerns raised by citizens regarding potential strains on water supplies, electric power demand, and grid reliability, roads and drainage systems, agricultural and ranch lands, emergency services, including volunteer fire departments, noise levels, environmental quality, and long-term fiscal impacts such as property tax valuation and revenue stability in the event of facility closures. And whereas, under current Texas law, counties have limited statutory authority over the siting, permitting, and operational standards for large-scale industrial developments such as data centers in unincorporated areas, primarily limiting to subdivision platting, road access, and certain drainage and infrastructure requirements under Local Government Code Chapter 232 and related provisions. And whereas the Commissioner's Court believes that comprehensive, uniform statewide standards would best ensure that data center development proceeds in a manner consistent with Texas values, balancing economic growth, resource conservation, community protection, and fiscal responsibility, while providing counties with appropriate tools to address local impacts. And whereas the attached letter outlines specific areas of concern and respectfully requests that the state of Texas and its agencies consider interim guidelines, establish a Texas industrial development plan, and/or provide counties with additional authority or statewide regulations regarding resource utilization, power management, location and size considerations, infrastructure planning, environmental mitigations, noise limitations, permitting, fire code support, reporting requirements with enforcement mechanisms, and valuation methodologies. And whereas the attached petition reflects the concerns of numerous Hunt County citizens who have expressed support for thoughtful, state-level consideration of these issues. And whereas it is in the public interest for the Hunt County Commissioners Court to formally communicate these local concerns and requests to appropriate state officials, including members of the Texas Legislature, the governor, and relevant state agencies. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Hunt County Commissioners Court that Section 1. The Commissioners Court hereby approves the attached letter substantially in the form presented and authorizes its transmittal along with the attached citizens petition containing signatures from concerned Hunt County residents to appropriate state officials. Section 2. The Commissioners Court expresses its support for responsible economic development and technological advancement in Texas while urging the development of balanced statewide policies that protect the resources, infrastructure, agricultural heritage, and quality of life in counties such as Hunt County. Section 3. The county judge or his designee is authorized to 1. Add additional state officials or agencies to the address list. 2. Make minor non-substantive edits to the letter for formatting, contact information, or clarity. And 3. Coordinate the collection and attachment of additional citizen signatures as appropriate, consistent with this resolution. Section 4. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. Adopted this day of 2026 by Hunt County Commissioners Court.
Thank you, Arnold.
Gary, my understanding is we're going to send both the resolution and the letter to the
Yes.
state, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the list and the signatures. So we're going to send it out after May 2nd, I guess. Is that the last meeting?
Yeah, so May 2nd is a Saturday, so we would gather up everything on Monday morning.
And
then
send it out
send
Monday?
to them.
Okay. Ms. Davis, come forward.
It's an important distinction. I understand why you use the unincorporated area that you're focusing on, but air quality degradation knows no boundaries. So people in cities are affected by any kind of pollution that will cross over. So it's in a general manner, it's all county residents. And the second thing is, am I understanding it's only going to be out for 2 weeks in which for people to sign from March 16th to May 2nd?
April 16th to May 2nd. Yes,
So
ma'am,
about
that was the
only
intent.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, then I would, so people only here that would hear the streaming of this meeting would know about this per se?
Certainly, we will all use our personal Facebook accounts and put this information out. That's one of the main reasons we're asking for the door-to-door volunteers, is to go help and go do that. We can make it longer. It's just that I'm afraid we lose the opportunity to strike while the iron is hot with Austin, because right now it appears that something like this could actually have an effect. If we wait 3 months, I'm afraid we'll lose that.
It's heavy on the state's mind. They're working on things.
Yeah, but
So-
they're not in session currently, but I know they do act as legislators.
Yes, ma'am.
I would suggest any kind of public service announcement that you can get free through KERA or the newspaper, a big ad, even though they only get to 1,800 people, and any other means, maybe publishing at the college, a notice on the bulletin boards, and any other kind of organization, like your party chairs could put it on their Facebook pages, perhaps, if they're concerned.
Good input.
Okay, thank you.
All right, commissioners. You got any-
This lady had another question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come to the mic. You got to come to the mic and state your name and address. I'm sorry.
I was just wondering, are the people that are here today able to sign, or do we have to wait until the 16th?
After the resolution has been signed, assuming it is signed.
Or passed.
Passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I see no reason why not.
Okay, so we can start one of the sign-up pages. I actually have 30 of them with me, just in case.
All right, anything else? Entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Gary, for all the hard work. Action item 5.
Judge, I would like to acknowledge that this is not a one-man show. There's a lot of people that are providing information. Because this started off in my precinct, I got to be the focal point, but the folks and not the folks here and the folks out there have all been working really hard, sending all kinds of information to help this. So thank you, everybody.
All right. Action item 5, a memorandum on the conflict of interest review between IT infrastructure vendor and Hunt County's IT director. Yeah, please.
You have any questions?
You can explain what it is. We've read about it, but the public doesn't know. So,
All right, so what it is we contract all of our cabling services for telephone and data, just because it's time-consuming and something that is actually cheaper to pay someone else to do. But the person who's been doing it is a man by the name of Greg Spear, who is actually my uncle. But he's actually been cabling everything for Hunt County with my grandfather since the late 80s. So they've always been the ones that do it. They know it well. And Greg was actually an employee and a technician at Avaya, which is our phone system, for 20 years. So he knows our systems well. He actually installed our phone system here in Hunt County in 1994, which we don't have anymore, but he's someone that I can say, hey, I need a cable here, and he'll go get it done and take care of it, do it the right way, the way that it's always been done here. So, and he's cheaper than everybody else by a long shot. So,
for the public, in the courthouse, the walls are concrete and foot or two thick, and if you ever walk up the stairs, all the cabling is in the stairwells and go up, and then they punch through walls, and it's a major ordeal getting cabling around the courthouse because of the new technology wasn't even thought of almost 100 years ago when it was built.
right. And anytime a vendor has come in and had to run a cable, I basically have to just do it with them, and it's no sense paying someone to do it when I have to walk you through every step of the process and show you the routes everywhere. And with Greg, I don't have to.
It's a real challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge even on thermostats and all the areas for heating and cooling. It's just hard to get anything done.
He's the one that showed me how to run cabling when
Yep.
I was a kid. So.
All right. So we just need to approve to grant permission. Arnold, is that correct?
So have we taken bids from other companies and stuff? Is that correct?
Well, these aren't jobs that would need to go out to bid. It's like, hey, I need one cable in the sheriff's office. I'll have them come out and just knock it out. Or we need 2 cables up in the DA's office. Just come and run and do it,
Yeah, but other companies have had the opportunity to do it, correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the past. But
it's clearly under $50,000 item.
yeah, it's usually like a $500 cable here, $200 cable there. It's never like if we were to do a big project, yes, absolutely, we'd be going out for bids for multiple vendors. But these are just little things like, hey, the other day we needed a camera ran out here in the health department. Just had him come out and run it real quick. Cost maybe a couple $100. If I had to get a bid for every little small cable like that, it would take weeks to get it done and get it approved.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Miranda.
Absolutely.
Action item number 6, NEHA FDA Retail Flexible Funding Model Grant Program Official Notice of Award for 1-year grant. Rodney, you want to brief us?
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good morning. A few weeks ago, our department, we applied for a grant through NEHA, which is the National Environmental Health Association, and FDA. We applied for the grant, and we were rewarded this grant to proceed with this grant. It's a self-evaluation of our department and our policies and how we do the food program only. And once we complete this, we have till, we have a year to complete this through the end of March of next year to get this completed. And upon successful completion, it's a $5,000 grant. So we're asking, I'm asking today just for approval to continue with this grant.
No matching or anything, Rodney? No matching for the grant or anything?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. We just have to complete the evaluation. And then once we complete it, then we can look in the future for another grant, possibly. Once we see these different areas and we see areas that we want to work on, there is possible grants in the future that we could apply for. They usually last a year. And we don't receive anything until we've completed the grant.
And it's $5,000, right?
That's correct, 5,000.
Any other questions, Commissioner? Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got two motions and a second. All in favor say aye.
We
All-
like free money.
Yeah. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you for what you do. Action number 7, reappointing Brandon Brand. You got a tough name for me. IT Director to implement state mandated cybersecurity training course through the Texas Department of Information Resources, DIR, for all county government employees and elected officials who have access to a government computer system or database to fulfill the requirements of Texas Government Code 2054.5191. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 8, change order number 4 to the system purchase agreement between Hunt County and L3 Harris Technologies, Inc. to be discussed for approval. Virginia, here you are.
There I am. So this is change order number 4, and I hope to say this is the last change order, but no promises. This change order does not change anything monetary for us. This is just saying that we're going to do a conditional acceptance of our system. We are using our system at full capacity, well, mostly full capacity, what it was intended for. We're using it for day-to-day activities. So there is a clause in our contract that says that L3 can force us into system acceptance. By doing this change order number 4 for conditional acceptance, we were able to negotiate how much of our milestone payment that we're going to pay up front. Versus, I think at first they wanted us to pay, I think something like 90% or something, and we've got them down to 70% of that final amount. And all of the payments are down at the bottom on Exhibit A. So we'll be paying 70% of it up front, and then we'll pay the rest of it on final acceptance. We do have a list of punch list items that we're still working through, and they're minor things, but they're things that we want to keep. We don't want to do we don't want to sign off on acceptance until those things are done. However, signing off on conditional acceptance gives me the ability to work with the Dallas office as opposed to everybody in Virginia. So every time I have a problem, I have to wait for somebody from Virginia to call me back.
Okay. For the public, this is our P25 radio system for the Sheriff's Department, which we had an antiquated system. This is state-of-the-art. It's much as it can be. We had a lot of dark spots out in the county when we had sheriff deputies out on foot and they had no communication in lots of spots across the county. This is going to give us full coverage. pretty much guaranteed across the whole county. And we're with the same Harris group that's also doing Van Zandt County. They're already in Rockwall. They're doing Navarro and
Kaufman County.
in Kaufman
Henderson
County, and so we got everybody surrounding us is going to be on the same one. So if the sheriff and them are in a chase, leaving Hunt County, going into one of the other counties, their radios stay right where they're at. They don't have to transfer over to another dispatch or anything. So it's a great safety deal for our fine sheriff's department and other emergency services. Firefighters eventually will have theirs on it.
We're working on it.
Yeah, I know. Sometime soon we'll have it for the fire departments and
we're looking
ambulance service, and all of it is going to be on it, so.
Looking at the 1st of May for the fire department and bringing them over, so we've been busy.
Thank you for what you're doing, Virginia.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, entertain a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Hey,
you.
Virginia, real quick, I know this week I just realized is Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, also known as Dispatchers Week.
It is.
So on behalf of the court and the citizens of the county, be sure and tell your staff we appreciate them. They're the lifeline between the emergencies and getting first responders out there. So we appreciate what you guys and your staff do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, action number 9, discuss and possibly take action on adopting a fire code for Hunt County. Darren?
I asked David Jones to come present this.
Oh, you punted, huh?
I punted. I'm sure he knows more about it than I do.
I'm sure he does. He's probably the smartest guy in the room.
With that, good morning, Commissioners.
Puts a lot of heat on you.
It does, and I dissipate it through the bald spot. You're considering recommendation for adopting a fire code. We are allowed to adopt a fire code because we share a common border with Collin County. That said, the recommendation would be to adopt the National Fire Protection Association's Fire Code 1 and Life Safety Code 101. They go hand in hand. Furthermore, to tie it to what the state of Texas has adopted and stay with them, because they adopted the 2021 code, we would be with the 21 code. As they move forward, I would advocate that however we word it, we'd stay with them. We don't have to come back and revisit it and renew it all the time. The thing about that, especially in light of a lot of the discussion this morning related to data centers and things of that nature, in 2021, data center drive wasn't as big a push, and so there's not anything in the 2021 fire code. Let me read to you a little portion what is in the fire code and the life safety code. There is some specific wording that says, the documents referenced in this chapter or portions of such documents are referenced within the code and shall be considered part of the requirements of this document. This means anything referenced in Chapter 2 of either one of those codes is drawn into and made a part of the code. Examples for this are, Texas never adopted the National Electric Code. However, NFPA 70, the National Electric Code, is listed in Chapters 2. So, the Electric Code is part of the Fire Code. An example of something that's not in there, besides the data center things that are newer, NFPA 610, the Guide for Emergency and Safety Operations at Motorsports Venues. That's not in there. Remember the tragic death that occurred at a racing venue here a few years back. It's not in the code anywhere. So if we wanted to enforce that, we couldn't adopt it unless we adopt a fire code. If we adopt a fire code, we could adopt NFPA 610. We could adopt other parts of it, but we have to have the basic fire code to bring those in. Once we bring those in, we can also adopt amendments. Those amendments can be tailored to the requirements that we have. Every county is unique. All properties are unique. So if there's something in the code that doesn't match what our capacities are for firefighting, for fire suppression, for fire safety, life safety, we can enhance those amendments to make them stronger than the basic wording that comes in the basic set. Another advantage for adopting the NFPA codes is they are consistent with what the state has already adopted. That would allow us to contact the state for things that they've already solved that problem, or they might have an answer for us that might be faster to go to that. Other things are that without a fire code, we'll never be able to charge fees for permits if we decide to go down that road. We couldn't do any of the amendments. Let me help you understand where we are and how ready we are for this. Right now, with your leadership of the court and your support of Richard Hill as our fire marshal, he's been really big on training. And right now, we have 2 deputy fire marshals that are fully certified to perform these functions. So you'll understand, a basic peace officer as of September 2025 graduates with 736 hours. To be a fire marshal qualified to do this is an additional 365 hours. So you've got to have 1,101 hours of training just to be able to do a fire inspection, to be holding any kind of fire responsibility functions in a fire marshal's office. You're going to have to start with 1,101 basic hours. That lets you start as a rookie. So that over and above the 736 hours it takes just to become a police officer. That said, we've got 2 people that are ready to do that, plus we have the plans examiners, which aren't required, but in my book they should have been. That's just legislature didn't pass that part of it. Some of the cons as we go forward, right at this point, we don't have a software infrastructure for supporting this. Now, there are some things that could come about that could offer a synergy where we could, there's a lot of software that's offered that sometimes would double with things that community development is doing, things that the health department's doing, since a lot of inspections would tie into that. We already have that synergy in that our office sits on the community development boards when they meet, so we already have some working relationships with that, and it would all tie together for the county to work together to improve the things that are going on with development in the county. There are things that we're not doing that we would be able to do then.
So if they're on the software, so is that something that you cannot adopt the code if you don't have the
Oh,
software?
no, they can be separate. You can adopt the code and the software can be solved later.
Okay.
We don't even have a recommendation for it today. But you could adopt the code today, and from that moment forward, that's the law of the county.
So does the fire code cover residential and all commercial, industrial?
It covers all commercial, industrial, and a limited amount of residential.
Okay.
There are some residential codes. They're not as comprehensive as the construction codes. But as far as fire safety, it does, because it'll cover things like homes that can be sprinkled, what kind of sprinkler systems go in a home, things of that nature. But let's face it, most of our homes are made out of matchsticks that they call 2x4s that keep getting smaller, which are easier to ignite the smaller they are. But there are some codes related to that.
Will we be required to do inspections on homes or when they're being built or
No.
anything?
No, not necessarily. We would always.
We could, but we don't have to, or?
We could, but we don't have to.
Okay.
That would be one of those things that on a complaint-driven basis, kind of like we do now on a complaint-driven basis. If we got a complaint, then we'd go out and investigate that way.
Okay.
So, and I think this is a need overall, but since it's Day of the Data Center, go back to the conversation that was made this morning. So I know Van Zandt County had something to do with batteries, civil military application. It actually 90% were outlawed in the state of Texas. Are those would you be able to inspect for those kinds of things? And
if we had an adopted code, yes, sir. And we would certainly partner with Van Zandt County with Gary Williams, and we'd talk to him and get us on board as quickly as possible with what he's got. And I know that when we first adopted a data center a few years back, I called the state because I was asked some questions about it, and it was so new then. The state didn't have an answer for me. Right. They said, we don't know. They said, all we know is that they're picking on the rural counties because...
No regs.
Yeah, no regs and easier to do. Yep.
David, you said we could do this because we're adjacent to Collin County. How did Rains County do it? They're not adjacent to a large county.
I don't know. unless there's some changes in it. But everything that I've been researching is that fire code, to adopt a fire code, you have to be adjacent to a county with 500,000 population or more.
I'm just curious.
I don't have, I'd have to ask them. There may be something that's changed since the last education I got on.
It doesn't affect us, but I'm just curious why
Yeah.
the differential there. All right.
Would this affect any current businesses? Or would
Excellent
they be
question.
grandfathered?
Well, there would be, what I've written here is, upon adoption, inspections of existing buildings and businesses would be conducted as compliance reviews instead of as enforcement actions. Seriously egregious violations, like say, one I've seen is a vent hood in a kitchen that was made out of plywood. And you're gonna have a grease fire in there? That would be something egregious.
Yeah.
Okay, something like that has to be changed no matter what.
Right.
So unless it's something that egregious, it's a compliance review, and it helps build the database, and it would help to build the situation, and then we slowly work into more enforcement actions. If it's a case where, say you've got a building that used to be a church, and now they're going to turn it into a dormitory. That's a change of purpose of the building, so even though it had been a church all this time, it's a new use, so now it would be treated as a new business. So there are times when, due to remodels, change of use, new construction, all those would key in a new inspection, which might have some other enforcement or stronger things to it. If it's one of those that's been in business for 20 years, here's how the code works. We don't apply the 2021 code. Our case in point is like the Exchange Building. When we bought that, it was last remodeled in 2003. So the fire code that was in effect in 2003 is the one that has to be applied to it as long as it's used for the same purpose. So even today, any buildings out there, we'd have to apply the fire code that was in effect at the time that business went into business. So I couldn't apply the 2021 code if I'm going out and looking at a business that's been in business since 1975. I'd have to look at whatever was in place, which I don't think Texas had adopted a code then. So again, if
That's
it's
5
really
years old.
egregious, then we'd have to look at that big problem. But otherwise, we have to apply the fire code. For that end, the subscription that we have for the NFPA access allows me to go in and look at previous codes. So I can go to the Texas website, find out what was in place at the time, then I can go look up that code to see what they said about that particular issue.
But we have no intention, just by passing this, we have no intention of going into businesses that are existing and doing inspections. I just want to clear.
You're the policymakers.
No,
You
I just
tell
want-
us what you want us to do.
Okay.
You know, if we did that, it would only be as a compliance thing. Hey, just so you know, this is what it would take to be compliant today if we were doing an enforcement inspection instead of a compliance inspection. We could do that on request. You set the policy, we'll go do it. If you say, no, don't do that, we won't. That's,
And all that as once we get this passed, then we start doing the next levels.
yes, sir.
So with new construction, will they be required with new construction to call us and get a permit, or?
Well, that depends on the structure that the court gives us today, really.
Okay.
Because if the court tells us that we want you to do permits, then we have to set up a permit system.
And a fee, so we
And a fee,
taxpayers don't have to pay for it, we're gonna pay for it with
Yes.
fees?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I can do that for new industrial development today, if we adopted it.
Sure.
Can we do it just for industrial and commercial?
Yes, sir.
I think it's a good deal because it's gonna potentially could let the volunteer or paid departments, either one, know what business is going there, what's actually, I mean, because there's a lot of businesses or buildings around that you don't know what's in there that has potential, a lot of danger in it,
Well,
especially on firefighting.
yeah, all these metal buildings going up and down the interstate and down 34 and all, and they're stacking them right beside each other, and would that give us any control over some of that?
It will, because here's what you can do, is in the amendments, you can set building spacing for firefighting safety, where some of these things, like let's take NFPA 501A is mobile homes. The spacing that's there, if there's no fireproofing in the walls or the roof, then they have to be a minimum 30 feet apart, but they can be up to 50 feet apart. And you could set that all mobile homes are 50 feet apart.
Mobile homes or?
Mobile homes.
Mobile homes, okay.
Yeah. That's
But-
just an example out of 501A.
So the property that's down on Interstate by the one church that's next door, those black metal buildings, they look like they're 5 foot apart stacked. So
Right.
would they have to have firewalls between them to get that close to?
They're supposed to, but they still have to have firefighter access. They shouldn't be that close, but we don't have any way to stop them right now.
Okay, but we can with this new fire code.
With the fire code, we'd have to look at that, and where it specifies spacing, you'd have to decide, do we want to stay with that spacing, or do we want to make it, again, this is part of what I was talking about when I was talking about the particular specifics that we bring as a county. We have volunteer firefighters, but each volunteer fire department has different equipment. So we'd have to look at what's best for whatever fire department would happen to show up, so that we can set the spacing and the fire codes and the standards to be the safest and the ability that we have to fight fires in that location. And we can set those once we have a fire code.
So so it's Caddo Mills, but Caddo Mills is out fighting the fire, so somebody else has to come, Cash has to come.
Right.
Well, I mean, does that make any difference? I mean,
It does.
because they'll
make a
have different
difference.
equipment and.
Here's the example, okay? Greenville doesn't always go out on firefighter calls. However, what we have done in the development committees is anytime that we have an implementation of a driveway that has to have 80,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating, it also has to have a minimum 36-foot inner radius for any turns, because the largest piece of equipment that could respond has to be accommodated. That's the Greenville ladder truck. So we apply that across the county, so that anybody that's putting in a road has to have a 36-foot inner radius to accommodate the largest piece of equipment that could respond.
Yeah.
And so with that concept, we can do that with any of the codes and amendments we adopt.
Okay.
So, curious, so if there was a vote to go forward and do this, is there a process to achieve that? I mean, what happens the next day after that vote takes place?
Well, that's kind of what we're talking about here, is we need to find out what the mission is that you assign to us. Again, like the industrial exclusivity for industrial commercial, or, I would anticipate being instructed to find some examples from other counties or other departments, and then make recommendations that here's what they're doing other places.
But there's no state application, no nothing. We just
Doesn't have
say,
to be approved by TCEQ.
that's what we're going to be, and then we got to go start building our regs for what that means.
Yes, unlike TCEQ with the septic systems, where when you create a resolution, you have to send it to TCEQ for their approval before it comes back and you can approve it. Once you approve this, that's it. Nobody else has to look at it.
I think it'd be good if we do adopt this, you get to involve when you start making policy changes or whatever. Get all the departments in the county involved in it, at least, the association at least. And
Fire departments?
Yeah, the fire departments, and take their recommendations, because they're the boots on the ground,
Well, and at the end of the day, you've got to know what their equipment is, what their capacities
Right.
are, and that's what you're designing into your template for how you adopt your amendments.
Right.
What could Commissioner Monroe and Money, could y'all lead a group and talk to the firefighters and decide where we need to go with this, what we need to approve?
I don't mind doing that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think we have to adopt the code first and then start the next process. Is that correct?
You can't do anything without the code. If you don't have the code, I mean, you could talk and do a whole lot of talking ahead of time, but you can't implement anything until you have the code.
So we don't need to have all our ducks in a row, how we're going to be able to implement it. We just need to get the
Correct.
code passed.
Correct.
And then they can go do those other
And you can
things.
add amendments
Okay.
next
Well,
year,
that's
2
better.
years from
I
now.
like that.
Yeah, you can, it doesn't have to be all perfect today.
Okay, I was thinking it needed to be spelled out, but today, okay. Any other questions? Oh. Online? No, you.
Not a question, just sort of, I have a proposed wording for a motion in case anybody is so interested, that adopts the idea that you mentioned earlier with respect to adopting the fire code and the ongoing amendments to it as adopted by the state of Texas.
More
Okay.
than I needed.
You gonna make that motion?
More than likely.
Wording here in the red.
Okay.
I made several copies of my notes here if anybody wants to see them.
Yeah, I'd like to have them afterwards at least.
David, could I ask you a question?
Thank you, David.
NFPA 101, is that correct?
That's the life safety code.
That's
And
what,
it has a lot of things related to occupancies. It'll have a lot of things related to occupancy settings,
Mhm.
Egress,
Mhm.
entrance. It goes hand in hand with code 1.
Do we need to adopt 1 and 101?
1 and 101, yes. That's the recommendation. If you're going to adopt, you really should be voting. And then for things like the
Okay.
solar farm that we were talking about, or the data center, I can do some research and find out what that is, and you could adopt that one separately once you've got this one, because I don't believe that one's listed in the 2021 edition. So anything that's in the 2020 edition in Chapter 2 for both 1 and 101 becomes a part of the code. If somebody just sits down to read 1 and 101 and doesn't read those references, you've missed 90% of the code. It's a rabbit trail you got to go down, and that's just the way it's done.
Just so that I don't make any wrong assumptions, whenever you adopt this code, does that create a new set of state audits or findings or reportings or anything that we have to do? Or is it just how we govern?
I'm thinking about that real quick. I'm going through my mind and thinking of the things that I'm aware of, and I don't believe there is. Our UCR reports might be affected, but that's only when it's related to arson, not related to fire inspections. The main thing that it would bring is, and so you know, the 2025 legislature, the state adopted a rule that all law enforcement people who have fire marshal related responsibilities has to be both a fire inspector and an arson investigator. You can no longer be just a police officer working for a fire marshal. You have to have both of those. Deputy Morrissey and I both have those trainings. Our new man has just achieved his arson investigator, and he's going to be taking his fire inspector. He's got a year to get those. We've got a new person we're trying to put on board by the 27th. He'll have to get both of those. We've got 2 people who are part-timers, and they're going through the process too. So everybody associated with our department will be fully certified to meet that standard, but it also means we'll be able to all do inspections at some point.
Okay. Any other questions?
Come on up to the microphone.
Sorry. I just want to clarify. The amendment precisely, can Hunt County Commissioners make specific amendment on a data center requirements that aren't yet addressed in the current code that you're asking them to adopt? I hear amendments on things that are already included in the code that they can get to be stronger or vary, but if they're not covered in the current code, do we have to wait till the code is changed before the commissioners can act to implement amendments? Thank you.
Thank you. In answer to that question, amendments can be made, but they have limitations. And one of the things is, if you're going to step outside what's already in there, you have to be careful that you have the ability to articulate it and back it up. If sometimes that's going to require some kind of a scientific background to back it up, or a underwriter's laboratory article, or some other things that will back it up. But there are also, you have the ability to say, okay, our volunteer fire departments don't have the capacity to fight this. We don't have the particular foam that's needed. Nobody has it. So therefore, we're going to have to increase the spacing by this much. There are things like that which can be done. But again, it's done with great trepidation and advisement before you make something stricter than what's already in there. It can be done, and there's a lot of examples of that.
What if it's just,
Pardon?
I guess if it's being added, it would be considered being more strict?
Correct.
You're just adding something.
Yeah, you're adding one that's existing. You're not creating your own brand-new NFPA code. I'm sure you could probably do that, but you're reinventing a wheel that's already been done.
Just sort of as a general legal principle, the county could not use the fire code to then start regulating things that it's not otherwise authorized to regulate and try and shoehorn things in. I think that everybody knows that and understands that. I just wanted to mention it.
Boy, you blew our bubble, didn't you?
I think this is just our first step to start progressing. We got to start somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for bringing it forward. So you gonna make a motion?
I will make a motion. I move that Hunt County adopt the fire code currently adopted by the Texas Fire Marshal, NFPA 1 and NFPA 101, and all future amendments in those codes when they are approved by State Fire Marshal. By the State
Do we need anything about in the court?
That's what I was given by the general counsel.
Okay. All right. All right, got a motion?
Second.
Got a motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, David.
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Money. Action item number 10, a presentation and status report for the Communications Overhead Reduction Project and Project Lead Brandon Brand, IT Director, Project Sponsor Gary Smith, Precinct 2 Commissioner. Who's taking the lead on this?
So I'll just waste 30 seconds here or so, but,
That's short for you.
yeah, the day ain't over. So everybody might remember at the end of last budget season, we had still had a deficit that we were going under, and we had a conversation then about cost reductions. The math was just talking about a 5% number. 5% was not a magical number. It wasn't applied to everybody, to go achieve. But what we did on the Commissioners Court is we set out and identified, I believe there was 5 or 6 areas of significant cost, overhead cost at the time. And we started going through those projects, trying to see if we could gain opportunity. The first one we had some redundant cost. We were able to reduce redundant cost. There's several others that are out there. But what we want to do is start bringing to the table these projects that were underway and report what kind of success or lack of success we were having in those as we get ready for the next budget season. Everybody here had a project that they were a sponsor on, but also putting that out there for the other department heads, the other elected officials, in hopes that when they come to the table this next budget season, that they can show the things that they've been attacking as well, trying to reduce the cost. Brandon has had a great project here and done a good job working with an outside company at some of our hidden costs, and I'm anxious to hear what he has to say.
Right, so we contracted Spyglass. Can you hear me? We contracted Spyglass to basically come in and investigate all of our phone, computer, wireless lines across all of our buildings, all of our different offices, courthouse, sheriff's department, voter, all of our outlying offices as well, commissioners' precincts. And the biggest find was they found a lot of unused analog lines. And if you've ever had an old analog line, you notice your bill every year gets a little bit more expensive. And these are some that are analog telephone lines that were going to things like modems that were connected to an old AC unit, or an additional elevator line that didn't need to be there, or modems going to old systems that are legacy systems that have been removed, and the phone line would never been disconnected. And we had quite a few of those. And most of them were from before my time here. And the price over the years has just got more and more and more and more to where if we were to go get a brand-new telephone line today, we'd pay $40 for it. Some of them we were paying hundreds of dollars for one single analog line.
Well, we had one out at the sheriff's radio antenna out by one of the reservoirs, and it was thousands of dollars.
Right, yeah, and it was
And
one phone line.
It was one phone line.
Yeah.
But they kept going up every year.
Right.
Yeah. We got rid of that one a long time ago.
Yeah, and so there's the taxes, as a government organization, we're supposed to be tax exempt, and they do give us tax exemption on, I guess, our state tax, but then they have, on most of our bills, I guess the accounts payable department can verify, we have a long list of taxes under that one tax that they're still charging us for, and we were able to get credits back for that. Also on excessive line pricing, that's another one where found out that this line should cost this much. They were charging us this much because they'd been taking that price up every year, so they were able to cut that down and save us some money there. At this point, we're at like $45,000 annual savings already. Also, the state tax saved us about $7,000, where we were being taxed when we shouldn't have been taxed on different accounts. The unused wireless devices, these are devices where, say, a department head or someone in the department was issued a mobile hotspot or a wireless phone, and no one was notified when they stopped using it, or the device broke and they just never got a new one. Never told anyone the line's still active. Some of those lines, they were from our sheriff's deputy laptops, because they all use cellular modems in those. And right about the time we started this project, we were actually installing about 25 new laptops last year for the sheriff's department. And so we were deciding which SIM cards would work better for them, depending on the area that they were covering. So we had some extras laying around just in case a deputy said, hey, I got no coverage out here, I need to switch. And so that was about 4 or 5 of those. But for the most part, the wireless savings was just devices that no one told us they weren't using anymore. And Spyglass was able to go in there and investigate that and tell us, how long this line has not been used. Some of them were 9 to 11 months. Quite a few of them were some mobile phones that were issued to sheriff's department employees. There were these big, horrible phones that weighed about 5 pounds. People decided they didn't want to use them anymore and just never told anyone that they weren't using it anymore. So these are things that now that we know they exist, and now that we know that those problems are out there, that we can maintain that a little better. And now that we know what doesn't need to be there, we have a list of everything that we are currentently using, and we know that there's nothing excess out there at this point. And so going forward, we can keep better track of this. Because like I said, a lot of this was before I was even here, and I didn't even know existed. So that gives us an annual savings of $70,000 by cutting all these lines. Which is over 3 years, it'll save us about $211,000. So that's huge savings for Hunt County. And I thank you for spearheading this and saving us some money.
You guys did an outstanding job. It's a lot of details to dig through.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
any questions?
So, you guys got any questions?
It's great.
Thank you for your effort on this, Brandon, and do look forward to getting to the next round of these. I know my neighbor over here has been getting pretty close on the enterprise. Don't know where you're at as far as getting to the
we were
court.
hoping that we were going to be able to bring it today to court. Jeff Phillips has been leading that for us, done a great job working with county staff and also enterprise staff. So hopefully the next court session, maybe he'll be able to come back and bring us a presentation of what they've been able to come up with on the enterprise.
Outstanding.
All right. Entertain a motion for approval of the report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 11, agreement with Castle Rock regarding Oak Ridge subdivision road repair participation. We need to talk about this in executive session or anything, or is it already?
Where we're at on it right now is Daniel got a contract put together between the county and us, Castle Rock, and but it's need approval for me to take it and get Castle Rock to sign off.
Both
is what I thought.
parties have seen it and everybody's good with it?
No,
So I've got the draft agreement here. It's basically ready to sign. There needs a minor amendment from Mr. Jones's personal name to the company name.
Okay.
But other than that, according to the notes I was given, it is ready to sign.
It's ready to go? Okay. So we need to add that to the motion, change the name?
Yeah.
What, do we need to state it or just?
I mean, basically to
generic?
adopt it as with any minor amendments necessary.
Okay. All right. Entertain a motion for approval with any minor change that's necessary.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Action item 12, discuss and possibly take action on naming a private drive off of County Road 4116 in Precinct 4, American Way, due to 911 addressing.
Yeah, Hallie has been working with the neighbors out there on naming this private road. They've all agreed to name it American Way. So at that time, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 13, the request for permission to install electrical distribution facilities in the county right-of-way on County Road 1061 under normal stipulations in Precinct 1.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 14, the request for permission to install electrical distribution facilities in the county right-of-way on County Road 1081 under normal stipulations in Precinct 1.
Make a motion to approve.
1088.
1088, sorry.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 15, the request to repair and plant replacement of fiber which runs underground on 2750 Canvasback Drive in county right-of-way where no utility easement is present in Precinct 3.
Yeah, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 16, request to construct electrical power distribution facilities that will cross North Shore Road under normal stipulations in Precinct 3.
Motion to approve under normal stipulations.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 17, the request to construct electrical power distribution facilities that will cross County Road 3226 under normal stipulations in Precinct 3.
Motion to approve under normal stipulations.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 18, the request for permission to install electrical distribution facilities in the county right-of-way on County Road 4702 under normal stipulations.
Motion to approve under normal stipulations.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 19, the request to construct electrical power distribution facilities that will cross County Road 4729 under normal stipulations in Precinct 4.
Motion to approve under normal stipulations.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 20, the replat of Lot 76A of Country Wood in Precinct 1.
2.
Well, I've got mine. Do what? Yeah, it said 2 originally, but it was marked out to 1, so I don't.
No, Countrywood is in Precinct 2. The next one was the typo that should have been in Precinct 1.
All right, so Precinct 2.
But with this one, we've discovered that there's a technical issue with the plat, so I'm going to request that y'all table it and let me get with the surveyor and the owner and figure out how they want to approach this issue and fix it, and then bring it back to you next week.
No shot clock problem?
No.
Okay.
No, it'll be okay.
All right, so we'll move it to next court. Action item 21, the replat of lots 1 and 2 of Cimarron Meadows in Precinct 1.
And this is an issue where the folks own 2 lots, and they've already built on them. They live on them. They've got their place there. They're wanting to combine the 2 lots into one to get rid of the lot line that's in the middle of their property and the required easements and all that were placed there whenever the original plat was done. So they're actually combining 2 down to 1 instead of dividing it.
All right, so we have to have a public comment?
Yes.
This time I'll open it up to public comments. Anybody wish to speak for or against this, please come forward and state your name. Anybody online? I guess nobody, okay. I'll close the public testimony. Entertain a motion to approve action item 21.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 22, the final plat of Kathy Addition in Precinct 3.
This is a simple plat, meets all of the requirements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action number 23, the final plat of Cruise Edition number 1 in Precinct 4.
Another simple plat, meets all the requirements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brian. All right. Executive session numbers. Is that the only one? It's also 1 and 2.
Yes, and 1 and 2.
Yeah. All right, this time we'll go into executive session under Texas Government Code 551.071, 1 and 2. So at this time, it's now 11:51. We'll be in executive session. All right, let's see if we can get back up. Somebody got their phone? Oh, we got help coming. We're up. All right, we're back in regular session. It's 12:59. Is there anything else for the court? Being none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Got a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We're adjourned at 12:59. Thank you, everyone.